The lights inside the auditorium dimmed to a low, expectant glow, and a ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd as the announcer called the next contestant's name. Few people paid attention at first. Talent shows had a way of exhausting an audience long before the night was over, and by this point, viewers had seen countless singers trying, and often failing, to resurrect the magic of legends long gone. When a soft-spoken Filipino man walked onto the stage, dressed in a simple black jacket with a faint shimmer under the lights, no one anticipated what was about to happen. He stood calmly, offering a polite nod to the judges, his posture humble, almost reserved. Simon Cowell glanced down at his notes, visibly uninterested, while the audience prepared itself for yet another tribute act that might be good, maybe even entertaining, but forgettable by morning. The contestant introduced himself with a gentle smile, explaining that he had grown up listening to Elvis Presley records on a battered radio in his childhood home. That small detail earned a few nods, but still no spark of excitement. Then the music began, just a low, steady rhythm at first, and something shifted in the air. His stance changed, his shoulders squared, his expression sharpened, and suddenly the quiet man from moments ago seemed to vanish. In his place stood someone entirely different, someone radiating confidence, charisma, and an almost electric presence that reached the back of the hall before he had even sung a single word. When his voice finally broke the silence, it was as if time folded in on itself. The sound that emerged was rich, controlled, and unmistakably powerful, an uncanny blend of Elvis's signature depth and the singer's own emotional clarity. Gasps echoed across the room, and heads snapped upward in disbelief. This wasn't imitation. This was embodiment. Every note carried weight, every pause felt intentional, and every lyric told a story of longing, hope, and reverence. The Filipino singer moved effortlessly across the stage, his gestures subtle yet magnetic, echoing Elvis's iconic style without slipping into parody. His voice soared during the chorus, filling the auditorium with a resonance that sent chills through the audience. People leaned forward in their seats, eyes wide, as if afraid to miss even a fraction of the performance. Somewhere in the middle of the song, the judges' expressions began to change. Laughter and skepticism dissolved into stunned silence. The crowd, once restless, now sat transfixed, caught in a spell woven by a man who seemed to channel a legend while still remaining unmistakably himself. You could feel the shift, the moment when a performance stops being just a performance and becomes an experience. Phones were forgotten. Popcorn went untouched. And for those few minutes, nothing existed except the voice, the music, and the impossible realization that something extraordinary was unfolding right before their eyes. Simon Cowell, known for his famously hard-to-please demeanor, leaned forward, his elbows resting on the judge's desk, eyes locked onto the stage. This alone was enough to send whispers through the audience. Simon rarely gave contestants this level of attention unless something truly exceptional was happening. As the song progressed, the singer hit a note so pure, so perfectly sustained, that it felt like the air itself vibrated. The crowd erupted into spontaneous applause mid-performance, unable to contain their astonishment. Simon's eyebrows lifted, his lips parting slightly, a rare, unguarded reaction. By the time the final note faded into silence, the room exploded. The audience rose to their feet in a roaring standing ovation, cheers echoing off the walls. Simon stood as well, shaking his head in disbelief. When the noise finally settled, and he spoke, his voice carried a tone rarely heard from him. Awe. That, he said slowly, pausing as if searching for the right word, was unbelievable. The single word landed like a thunderclap. Coming from Simon Cowell, it wasn't just praise. It was validation at the highest level. The other judges nodded in agreement, some visibly emotional, one wiping away tears. The Filipino singer stood frozen for a moment, hands trembling slightly, eyes glassy, as he absorbed what was happening. Years of quiet practice, of singing in small rooms and distant places, had led to this one moment, and the world was finally listening. As the judges continued their feedback, they spoke not only about his voice, but about his soul. They remarked on how he had honored Elvis Presley without trying to replace him, how he had brought authenticity instead of imitation. The singer listened intently, nodding, his gratitude written across his face. He shared a bit of his story then, how he had grown up in the Philippines, where music was both a comfort and an escape, how Elvis's songs had inspired him to dream beyond his circumstances. He spoke of working long hours, singing late at night when the world was quiet, imagining stages he had never seen. The audience listened, rapt, as they realized this wasn't just a remarkable voice, it was a remarkable journey. Many in the crowd saw pieces of themselves in his story, the struggle, the perseverance, the hope that talent and dedication might one day be enough. When Simon asked why he chose to audition now, the singer smiled softly and said, "Because I finally believed I was ready." That simple statement resonated deeply. It wasn't arrogance, it was earned confidence. The judges exchanged glances, recognizing that they weren't just witnessing a standout audition, but the arrival of someone who could genuinely change the course of the competition. By the time the votes were cast, the outcome felt inevitable. Each judge gave an enthusiastic yes, their praise growing more animated with every word. Simon added that this was one of the most surprising and moving auditions he had seen in years, a statement that sent another wave of applause through the room. The Filipino Elvis bowed deeply, overwhelmed, tears finally spilling over as he whispered his thanks. Backstage, contestants and crew members alike stared in amazement, replaying the performance in their minds. Within hours, clips of the audition spread across social media, racking up millions of views. Comments poured in from around the world, people marveling at the voice, the humility, the sheer power of the moment. Many viewers admitted they had clicked out of curiosity and stayed because they were blown away. Others shared stories of how the performance reminded them of why music mattered in the first place. Headlines began to appear, each more dramatic than the last, but one phrase stood out and was repeated everywhere. Simon Cowell says unbelievable. It became a badge of honor, a symbol of how deeply the performance had cut through expectations and skepticism alike. Long after the stage lights dimmed and the applause faded, the impact of that audition lingered. For the Filipino singer, it was the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with possibility, responsibility, and a growing global audience eager to hear more. For the viewers, it was a reminder that greatness can come from anywhere, often when we least expect it. And for the show itself, it was one of those rare moments that redefine why talent competitions exist at all, to uncover voices that don't just entertain, but move people. Elvis Presley once sang about dreams, heartbreak, and hope in a way that transcended borders and generations. On that night, a man from the Philippines carried that spirit forward, not as a copy, but as a continuation. Simon Cowell's word echoed long after the performance ended. Unbelievable, not because it defied belief, but because it expanded it. The world had witnessed something unforgettable, a reminder that legends never truly fade. Sometimes they are reborn in the most unexpected places, through voices brave enough to sing their truth.